మనతో మాట్లాడుతున్నారు ఈరోజు కర్నల్ రవిశంకర్ ప్రసాద్ గారు. వారిని అడిగి వారు దేశానికి సైనిక దళం ద్వారా అందజేసిన సేవల గురించి తెలుసుకుందాం. ఇప్పుడు మనం ముందుగా వారిని ఆహ్వానిద్దాం. నమస్తే కర్నల్.
Namaste, madam.
హౌ ఆర్ యూ సార్?
Good.
హౌస్ ఇట్ బీన్ త్రూ?
Very good. I am thankful to your channel Telugu One and also to you for sparing your valuable time and coming here and shooting this a little bit of this thing so that I can convey my message to the youth of India and this thing.
So sir, how did it happen for you to choose armed forces? Anybody from the family?
Yeah, my uncle was there. He was emergency commission officer. He was commissioned in 6th Jat, and he left after 5 years of service. From 62 to 67 he served, and thereafter, since he was a law qualified person, he joined as district judge in Bihar government.
So that
Motivated me actually.
you.
The thing was that in Bihar what happened that all the students were studying, especially when I passed out from college. That was 78, 79. Most of them want to join UPSC.
yes, civil service.
So similarly, I also wanted to join Indian Police Service and all. But you see, in any case, I wanted to put on the uniform. Like any other thing. That age, you get fascinated towards uniform. So then this opportunity to join the armed forces came early because their age is less.
Yes.
The UPSC, this thing, competition starts at the age of 21 and this is about 19 and a half. So I filled in this thing and I got selected and then I had to weigh whether to join the army or wait for some time and then go for the Indian Police Service. Then my better sense prevailed and I joined Indian Military Academy in the year 1980. The training was a bit tough. But you see, initially I thought the training is tough. Then, I thought about that so many people have already passed. So I can also pass out. There is no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. And within no time, I think within 15 days or 20 days, one was fit enough to go through the training. And it was quite challenging. I was losing weight fast, but I was becoming more agile and in the endurance, this thing was increasing.
Right.
So thoroughly enjoyed the training. And during the training, I got fascinated to join the Armored Corps, the tank unit.
Tank unit, yes.
Yeah. So because of their, lifestyle and their, color of the beret, they put on black beret. And the uniform, I got fascinated. I filled in the choice of arm for the Armored Corps and I got Armored Corps. I was commissioned in 82 Armored Regiment. And thereafter, since a new raising came, so I went to 48 Armored Regiment.
So serving at various places.
Yeah. The Armored Corps tank units are basically in, plains of Punjab or the deserts of Rajasthan. But what happens that, in between, you get extra regimental employments.
Right.
Like you go, if you do well in courses, you go as faculty to the training establishments.
Okay.
And thereafter you go on staff. We have a very prestigious Defence Services Staff College in Wellington. So when the officers are between the age group of 30 to 35, they write the competitive exam. And in addition to the competitive exam, they have this thing to select you based on your performance in courses and the ACRs. So I got selected. I did 49 staff course in 93-94 and thereafter I held various staff appointments. And it was a very satisfying tenure throughout the army, about 30 to 31 years.
Wow, awesome. Thank you so much for being so passionate about serving the nation. And any remarkable instance that leaves a mark on your mind?
Yeah, there are 2-3 of them. Firstly, about during the Kargil war, what happened, that I was posted in Army Air Defence College, that is Gopalpur on Sea, that is at Odisha. So that as soon as in the, I think 99 April, May, June or something like that, the Kargil war had started. Then we were asked from Army headquarters whether we like to join our unit.
Yeah.
My unit was that time in plains of Punjab, that is Sri Ganganagar. You have the border also at Sri Ganganagar, Gajsinghpur, Raising Nagar and all these places. So my regiment was deployed because what happened that even if the central focus of the war is going on in Kargil, but you cannot leave the other territories.
Exactly.
Yeah, you have to protect them. The troops have to move to the border.
Yeah.
And thereafter they should be able to beat back any counter attack or any attack coming from the Pakistan side. Because if Pakistan sees that, Kargil war, they are losing battle, so they will like to open another front in the plains of Punjab or in deserts.
Yeah.
So that is the strategy. To beat that strategy, Indian army was fully prepared. And my regiment was also prepared in the, area of Gajsinghpur and Rai Singh Nagar. And the second incident, when I was posted in Valley. Valley means, when we say Valley, it means, Kashmir.
Okay. Yeah.
So I was posted in an area called Bandipur.
Yeah.
Bandipur is, head of Srinagar, and that is the hub of militancy. So, and that time I was posted with Rashtriya Rifles.
Right.
So one fine day, like we used to go for operations, coordinate search and destroy missions. We were given information that, 2-3 militants are hiding in a cave in the mountainous area of Bandipur. So my, troops along with us and the other groups also, we were quite a sizable number. So we encircled that area. And after about, 18 hours of fighting, the gun battle, we were able to beat them, kill them.
Yeah.
So when they came out, we found that there are 2 of them, the militants from, Pakistan, and there were 1 local guy also. So, overall the situation is that, in J&K, Kashmir, it has become an industry.
Right, yeah.
Youth who are there, they, on the name of the religion or whatever it is, they get fascinated to join the militancy. They don't understand that, the independence which we have got in India is very crucial, and we have got it after, a lot of effort and lot of sacrifice by so many people. So, but they are misguided youth, you cannot say. Bottom line is that there's a lot of money which comes from abroad.
Okay.
To the youth of, Kashmir.
Okay.
The stone pelters which we keep listening on the TV, that stone pelter, they are paid every day 1,000 rupees. So it's a kind of livelihood for them. But they are misguided. They can get killed also. That they don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, something has to be done about this. You also know this. You also keep watching TV and all. So, my best wishes are with the government, and, my advice to the youth of, Kashmir is that don't get into this thing. Indian army is very powerful. Nobody can beat Indian army. Yeah. They will get hold of you each one by one and they will kill you.
So, what steps or what mode of education should be given to them from being misguided by these kind of influences, external influences actually?
Yeah, external influences, what is happening in, not all youth, the youth who are there in Srinagar.
Okay.
So what happens out there that, there are 2-3, basic reasons for their getting misguided. One is on the name of religion. And second is money, which is coming from, abroad, maybe Pakistan or maybe anywhere. So what happens, they are getting paid to, throw stones on this thing, security forces, or do various things to disturb the peace and harmony. But my message to them is that Indian army is very strong. The government is very strong. They should forget that, they will be able to take Kashmir out of India. This will never happen.
Yeah.
So their effort will go as waste. They can get killed. Their families will have a very tough time. And, they will be nowhere. So the best is for them is to this thing surrender. Surrender in front of the armed forces. Because the situation has come in such a manner that India will never lose Kashmir, go out of hand.
Yeah, hopefully we should be sustaining all these external forces and teach them a good lesson through this.
Yes.
Can you please tell us some details about your family?
My family, I got married in the year 1985. I have got 2 children, very sweet children. My son is about 30 years old. He also wanted to join the armed forces, but what happened when he went for, service selection board and all, somehow he couldn't clear the medical.
Okay.
He was slightly colorblind. So then, he took this thing in civil. Right now, he is working in United States of America
Okay.
and working for Amazon.
All right.
He is, married, and his wife is also working. She is working for Infosys.
How about your other child?
Yeah, my daughter is there. She is the younger sibling, and she is also married. She is working for ICICI Prudential.
Okay.
And my son-in-law is working for Myntra.com.
Okay.
They are, both of them are at Bangalore.
Okay. And you being amongst the civilians after retirement, what is the reaction that you see amongst the civilians when they have an ex-serviceman among them?
That's very good and very encouraging. What happens that when you come back from the armed forces, the entire good qualities, of the leadership,
Yeah.
the courage, the integrity, all these qualities are with you. And the civilians want those qualities. You will be surprised to know that people who clear service selection board, there are so many companies who are ready to hire them. You just go and show your this thing that you have been cleared by service selection board, and you get a salary of about 70,000-80,000 to start with.
Awesome.
So there is a lot of respect. And service selection board, the entire process is designed on German this thing.
Okay.
In Germany, German army and their selection process is very strict. So the service selection board, this thing process they started, this has percolated through British army to selection process of India. So, coming back to the point of, ex-servicemen coming to the civil this thing,
Yeah.
there is a lot of good qualities which they instill in the organization they join. Firstly, they are very punctual, they are disciplined, their, communication abilities are very good. Like I have so many friends working in civil, they have, done very well. I also have done in 2-3 companies, and right now I am working in a company with Brigadier Bhaskar, that is Experts Group Security. We provide security services. Because, after spending 30-31 years in the armed forces, the security comes in your blood.
Yes.
You think about security. Like even if you are at home and you are lying, you are always thinking about security, how you can be alert. Suppose this kind of situation will come, how will I react? And the same thing goes on. Like, my wife also and my daughter also, all of them, they will keep saying, Papa, you are always alert to take on anything which is coming.
That's right. Very true. It is already imbibed in you. So it,
Yeah.
and as we see that through different social media, now many youngsters are getting attracted towards the services. So any message that you can convey to the youngsters who would like to pursue career in the armed forces?
Yes, of course. You see, what's happening is like, after spending 31 years in the army, when I look back, I find this is the best profession one can join.
Yeah.
It gives you so many things. At the top of it, it gives you physical fitness, which no other service will give you. In other services, in IT industry, in other, manufacturing sector you go, you have to work so much. There is all work and no play.
No play. Yeah.
So what happens that your physical abilities and physical fitness goes down. And at the end of the day, you must understand that your, relatives can go away, your property can go away, but the health, your health is the only thing which will be there with you till your last moment. And if you don't look after your health, you will be having a very tough time at the final years of your life. So, one thing best about the army is that, you are able to look after your health and you remain fit.
That's right. So, as a veteran serving nation and also now being in the civilian, you have had vast experience, and you can see that the youth is also heading towards these passionate careers.
Yeah.
And through your experts group, any other message that you can give the youth?
Yes, certainly. Firstly, they have to decide, they have to be very highly self-motivated to join the armed forces.
Yeah.
Unless you are very highly self-motivated, you will not be able to sustain the training, the difficult training, and also the difficult lifestyle of the armed forces. Because you will get posted to various places where the life amenities and the quality of life may not be very good.
Yeah.
And when you will see your counterparts in the civil, like they are, moving in AC or they are moving by air and this and that, you will feel bad. So one has to be prepared that you will be having a very tough time. Your lifestyle will be different. You may be forced to stay away from your family, your wife, your children, and if you are happy with that, you must join the armed forces.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for your time and joining us on Telugu One channel. Thank you so much.
Yeah, once again I thank you Telugu One channel for the time you spared, your valuable time, and you took my interview so that I could convey my feelings towards the nation and also towards the youth.
Thank you so much.
God bless you.
Thank you. Jai Hind.
జనమంతా కలిసి పాడేద్దామా జనగణమన జగమంతా కలిసి వినిపిద్దామా జనగణమన